Hello everybody. You've heard quite a few focus talks so far from experts in iCRAG, demonstrating a lot of the capabilities and capacities that we've got and some real cutting-edge science. I was given the title here, Environmental Support for Offshore Wind Farm Development, which is quite a nebulous title. So I'm going to give quite an overview of expertise in my group, but also a lot of the other projects are going on in iCRAG and trying to showcase some of the people that haven't been given a spotlight talk, if you want. So first off, I would like to say, I know I'm speaking to the converted, so some very simple statements, and that the sea is a dynamic and hostile environment. We know that, and we can build infrastructure there. It's difficult to build infrastructure there, and there's also competing demand with other stakeholders in that environment. And that's okay, because there's engineering solutions that can overcome all of this. Okay, we know that. But if we understand some of those environmental conditions at the start, and we develop in environmentally benign areas, then we can save a lot of cash, a lot of effort. We don't have to go for those engineering solutions that we realize we need somewhere down the line. Once you've got your wind farm area or your license, you may already be committed, but you still need to understand the sea. You still need to understand the seabed, subseabed environment and the seabed to constrain those engineering costs, and also to get information to anticipate opposition from other stakeholders that may be opposed to your development. So it's really important at an early stage and throughout that you understand the environment of what your engineers are going to engineer for you. Okay. So in iCRAG, we have a lot of expertise. We have personnel with years of experience. Despite my accent, I've been here for 27 years, bobbing around on the waves. We have a deep knowledge of Ireland's seabed, and we understand that offshore. We're passionate, we're driven scientists, and we're passionate to understand how things work and how things goes on. So it's that depth of knowledge and understanding, and that depth of knowledge and understanding on Ireland's seabed that is really quite special. But my question is, and this is going to be a recurring theme, and I hope it's not too repetitive, but my question is, what do you want? What do you want from iCRAG? Because we've got various solutions. So I've got a few faces up here of people that are involved in this. In this case, it's myself and Mark, who you've seen before. We've been involved in seabed mapping. Do you want more coverage? There's great InfoMar data out there, but there's a few gaps. Or maybe you want that at high resolution, higher beam spacing. Maybe you want to do repeat coverage. Maybe you want to look at how things change and what's happened since. If that's what you want, we have the capacity to do seabed mapping. Or maybe you're interested in measuring bedform movements, a prediction of scale. We've just heard a very good talk there from Jennifer. Maybe you're interested in monitoring current dynamics and sedimentations in constraint models. And again, we've published on this, we know this information, we've been working on this. So these kind of things that you want, is this what you're interested in? Because we have the capacity and the expertise to deliver on that. And perhaps going a bit further, there's quite exciting work coming out of my research group at the moment, taking that really good InfoMar data and seeing how much information we can get out of this multi-beam data. So we're working on projects looking at automated geomorphological mapping to create terrain derivatives to try to segment some of this seabed and identify individual features using machine learning, using fully convoluted neural networks or other kind of machine learning and AIs to see if we can get some really good information out of it. And we can apply this across vast data sets once we've got the AIs working correctly. So we've had a lot of success in automated bedrock mapping that would just take forever for you to digitize. But once the computer gets it, it can rip through some of this data. And quite interesting at the moment, Joe Summers, one of my PhD students, has been looking at sediment wave fields. This is actually in the Porcupine Sea Bite. This is deep water multi-beam from an ROV. We've been looking at those sediment waves and training the system to identify what are the sediment waves, the troughs and the peaks, measure all the morphometrics of these, and then translate that into current speed. So we're now being able to generate current speed maps or define the field of current speed over vast areas. And we can apply that kind of stuff to the shelf. We can apply that stuff to your license areas or whatever, if that's what you want. Maybe you're interested in biology and habitats. I'm a geologist, I'm not a biologist. John Apper in my group is a biologist, but we've been collecting seabed samples and running underwater video for years and characterizing these things, and we can produce habitat maps, and that's actually been a lot of my work over the years, because habitat maps, as you know, is not just the biology, it's also the other parts that make up that habitat in terms of current speeds, in terms of sediments, and all the other kind of attributes that go in there. So yeah, we can do habitat maps if that's what you're interested in. What we're also playing with now is 3D photogrammetry, to take benthic video data and reconstruct environments in 3D, to look at habitats at a very small scale in 3 dimensions, to try to work out what's really happening there in real time. And Larissa there is my PhD student working on that, and with Luis Conti in the University of Sao Paulo, we've been using object-based recognition to try to identify or learn the computer through AIs, machine learning, to identify individual organisms so we can automatically map them. It's tricky. We've done it for corals. There's other low-hanging fruit. I know fish are relatively easy, and we're getting better on some other ones. And we're potentially, hopefully, working with a developer soon to look at that so we can automatically map megafaunal distributions from video data. Is that what you want? I don't know. You tell me what you want. We've heard a lot about seismics. We do a lot of subsea seismic data. You've heard from Andy, Mark, and Guillaume, who's in the audience there. If you're interested in acquiring and processing more seismic lines, you can do that. You've heard a lot of that today. Understanding the strata properties, thicknesses, and also patterns of heterogeneity, and how the properties of the subsea bed differ between tie point CPT lines across seismic lines. Or maybe you're interested in depth to bedrock. We can do that. A range of us, a number of us have expertise in seabed monitoring. We have a various suites of equipment. Brian Kelleher, who isn't here, I thought was, has moorings out in Dublin Bay to monitor things that are going on. This benthic lander system here with an A on it is currently down in the Porcupine Sea Bite, measuring sediment deposition, current speeds, temperature, salinity, pH, those kind of things. These things are available. We've got a number of us here who have been working on monitoring. We're not just mapping and sampling, but monitoring seabed conditions in terms of mid-ocean conditions, currents, sedimentation, ocean chemistry, and noise. And I'm going to say a little bit more about noise, if that's what you want. A number of us have been working on passive acoustics. This is a real challenge. We have expertise in developing noise propagation models, and I particularly call out Martin White and also Florian Lepap and Chris Bean, who's in the audience here, who've been working on passive acoustics and looking really at how sound propagates. So some of Martin White's work with Owen Daly has been looking at that, noticing that bays, submarine canyons and other kind of inlets focus that sound. So it's not just the case that sound radiates out. There are places where it gets focused, redirected, and can become a real issue. And we have, through iMAP, and again I plug Chris Bean here, who has leaflets out, I believe, around the place, a whole load of equipment, OBSs, but also hydrophones, and a capacity that we can deploy to try to monitor and measure that sound. And what we need to do is determine a noise propagation model for Irish waters. We don't have it on the shelf. And this is something that's going to require a collective effort. Okay, no one developer is going to develop this. We need to come together to generate this sound propagation model. We also need to start monitoring sound, and so we've got a background, a sound background, baseline if you like, and then we can also monitor things like this, like piling operations here, to try to work out what's the impact of that, and so we can model for that we can be prepared for that, and we can put constraints if need be on that to protect the environment, and also know when people say this is going to be too noisy, we've got the information and we know what the baseline and we know what's going on. And we know this is what you want, and we know this is what you need at last, because we have been chatting to a number of partners, and I want to plug iMAP, that's a project coming together, being led by Jerry Sutton, who I'm going to get to stand up embarrassingly, so you know who he is, because you do need to chat to Jerry afterwards. And iMAP is a 4 to 8 million program over 4 years that's being developed. And what we want to do there, and you can see the work pages, I kind of read them out, but we're looking at regulatory technical alignment, we're looking at industry liaison, we're looking at acoustic monitoring, we're looking at using fiber optic sensor technologies, so innovative and cheap ways to measure sound, generating noise propagation models and modeling, and looking then more at specialists of bioacoustics, and also a number of targeted projects within that. And basically we want to acquire noise recordings, develop a propagation model for everyone, and look at innovative solutions for noise monitoring, and then develop, and this is important, develop an interdisciplinary critical mass that exists in iCRAG, teamed up with MOI and IPEC, so we can meet this challenge. But we need more partners, and we need to pull this together. So if you want to be part of that, and I think you do, chat to Jay. God, I've really plugged that one. Okay, and what we also do is decision support. Many of you who are familiar with the work we did in the Irwin project would know this, and we have GIS solutions where we can visualize your data and also kind of look at the data, weight your data, come up with maps here showing the most favorable areas to develop wind farms, perhaps, or also perhaps within your license areas, the most favorable areas, the most difficult areas are where you have solutions. We can work on that. We'll help you with compliance mapping, optimizing your spatial decisions, because you can see the data, weight of it, and play with it. It also helps to secure investor confidence, competitive advantage, de-risking, etc., etc. And I know I'm running out of time, and I'm not sure if that's what you want, but if you do want this stuff, there are a number of people here. The people highlighted in red are here mostly, I think. Chat to us. There's a lot we can offer, there's a lot we can do. Thank you very much. Any questions, anybody? Yes.
Yeah, in connection with your decision maps and habitat mapping, Andy, I remember research being done a while back on the seabed mapping linked to UNIS classification, and I'm just wondering, is work being done on that?
Yeah, there's a number of things going on there, and we have a research project trying to link seabed morphology, geomorphology, as like a habitat input into UNIS classifications, associations between biology and morphology. And I think there was also a number of works trying to find a catalogue for various kind of features and various classifications in this hierarchical sense. So there's a lot of work trying to characterize the seabed into these classifications so we can standardize things. Is that your question? Is that what you're on about? Yeah. So that's developing, and that's happening, internationally and within the European framework. And that provides a common language then, that we can all talk about the same things.
Are you doing that for Ireland now? Are you starting that process?
I'm going to say yes, but we're adopting that process. I'm not sure on a national level it's done, but the Infomar people might be able to say that, and some of the reinstitute people. There's nods, yeah. So that is happening, yeah.